In comes Focus Blast, enough to take out the Megalopony. This is very much a Choice Scarf Darkrai we're looking at here. And this is going to be a very tough... This is going to be a tough decision, as if Maple has anything at all to counter fighting moves. And in comes Galarian Slowking. This is going to be interesting, as I do believe this is Scarf Darkrai here. I believe that's the only way this Darkrai could have outsped. And I believe this is a quad resist from Darkrai. And Slowking is notoriously bulky on the special side. And there we go. Galarian Slowking comes out once again. Potentially, this is interesting. There we go. Chill Reception comes out. I do believe that was the first I believe this was Maple's Galarian Slowking going first due to the paralysis. And it looks like Weavile comes out in response as Darkrai comes out once again. So we're left with a very difficult choice here. What does Darkrai go for? Because keep in mind, Dark Pulse might counter the Galarian Slowking, but it's not going to be dealing nearly as much to Weavile, who could very safely KO it from this range. However, if they go for Focus Blast, the only Pokemon that's might be left is Galarian Slowking. And if that's the case, things are going to be looking incredibly tough here. In comes Galarian Slowking as Dark Pulse comes out. I do not think Galarian Slowking here will be able to last much longer, as it'll be forced to either Regenerator out and potentially have sack the Weavile. Dark Pulse comes out, not very effective, but Weavile was already pre-damaged earlier. I do think another Dark Pulse here will be enough to KO it. Oh, just barely not enough. But Darkrai flinches. Oh, that is unfortunate. In comes Zapdos, once again, dealing significant damage. This Darkrai might not be able to be stopped. The snow has fallen, but I don't think this... I don't think that's much of an impact here, as Zapdos has a very reasonable chance of being fainted here. There we go. We can confirmation now. This Darkrai has potentially been able to fully complete the sweep. And it looks like this might be the final Pokemon left. We'll have to see how much damage this Dark Pulse will do. In comes Galarian Slowking as once again the paralysis has been set up. I imagine Sparkpest is doing their best to attempt to guarantee a safe pivot, or at the very least to ensure that his Darkrai does not faint. as Sludge Bomb comes out, dealing negligible damage here. Slowking going for another future sight, and I do potentially think one more turn is all it'll take before the next future sight takes hold. Slowking taking the future sight, however, not quite able to chilly reception out. Slowking once again still going for paralysis as chilly reception. There we go. In comes the Darkrai once again, still being hurt by spikes as Slowking takes Future Sight, and this is very much a solid KO here with Dark Pulse. And I think this might potentially be the final Pokemon remaining. Dark Pulse comes out. There's actually another one left here. What remains? That's the question. And it looks like the Weavile. Ice Shard deals not quite enough to KO. And there we go. With 2 Pokemon remaining, Svartpest has won this first round. And it looks like we're moving on to the next battle right now. And it looks like we get the next team right now. We have Cool Pater representing i-Pixelmon and Azok representing, I believe this is PixelmonFR. So we are left with a very interesting conundrum on our hands. I do believe with that being set up, PixelmonFR is very much in the lead here against i-Pixelmon. It looks like there's gonna be a slight wait here as we wait for it looks like we're waiting for the pace to come in. It looks like it won't be too much longer until looks like we're still waiting for things to be set up, although things could be interesting here. I do believe with PixelmonFR in the lead, Cool Pater will have to make a very decisive play here. This is gonna be a very interesting battle, everyone. Keep in mind, I believe both these teams have done fairly well in the past. So we'll have to see which one will potentially have to make significantly less progress. Ooh, this is interesting. Looks like we're still waiting potentially for how it's going to be. There we go. It looks like there we go. It looks like Azok has been fully set up. This apologies for that minor delay, everyone. And so we are left at a very interesting dilemma at hand, everyone. As we wait for this to be properly set up, something you need to keep in mind is that both of these trainers, although they have at least 2 wins under their back, either one of these has the potential to knock them down to a significant amount. And if that is the case, they are that much bit closer to being eliminated. And so we are left with a very interesting dilemma. How are each of these trainers going to lead? There we go. We actually have a confirmation now. We have Cortana coming out first on, I believe that's Cool Patter's end, as Azok has brought out the Landorus. Ooh, this looks like we might have a potential dilemma on our hands. There we go. It looks like we do still have our dedicated leads here, and with this information given to us, we actually get a little bit more insight into how this, at least this starting round, is going to go. And I will say, this could very much go either direction. Landorus does a lot of damage, even when not fully invested, partly due to its incredibly high base attack. However, do keep in mind, Kartana has even higher attack, and with access to things like either Sword Stance or Choice Scarf, this could be very dangerous if either of these trainers play wrong. And it looks like the battle is about to start again. Now, see, actually, with this information, something else to keep in mind is we get perhaps a little more insight into each of their teams here. I believe Azok might potentially be running a standard balance set, but Cool Potter could be potentially running hyper offense. We're still not certain which is the case. And it looks like the battle has just started. And once again, we are watching from Azok's perspective here. This is a tough choice to make because you certainly could use U-turn here. However, if this Kartana is running the Choice Scarf set, it might be easier to knock off. Do keep in mind, though, there's plenty of options. Bring in Gliscor here as Lando goes for U-turn. A very unfortunate opportunity to potentially remove the poison recovery, as it looks like. Now, this is an interesting decision here. Very much, we could be seeing a balanced team, unless this Gliscor is deciding to run an offensive set.
Gliscor!
So we're left with a very difficult choice here. As we wait for now, this is a tough situation. With this U-turn, there we go. We get confirmation now. It's time to bring in Clefable. I do believe this would make it immune to any kind of toxic or stealth rocks, thanks to Magic Guard. However, the question still remains here: what is Azok going to go for? As this could be a cosmic power set. And if that's the case, things could be very spicy. So we are left, and so we begin a very interesting dilemma. As the Fable has a ton of sets. I've seen it used in Stall as a cosmic power wall. I've seen it used for things such as stored power sweeping. I've even seen a mostly offensive set with Calm Mind. So we don't know what this Clefable could be running. And that is the decision that Cool Potter has to try and determine. In comes the Stealth Rock here. Could this potentially be the wall variant of Clefable? It's a bit hard to say for sure. And it looks like we are once again potentially seeing another member of Potter's team here, specifically the Zapdos. Now, this is interesting, as Zapdos is kind of weird in this situation against Clefable. It's not a direct threat per se, but it can threaten things such as a lot of statuses, really, mainly paralysis and burn, potentially even confusion, depending on how lucky Potter gets. We'll have to see what Potter chooses to do here. There we go. Clefable using the knockoff here and removing the leftovers, although it's not certain how much that will be important. As Zapdos uses Hidden Power, I do suspect this is Hidden Power Ice coming in. Now, of course, this is Hidden Power Ice. That means any kind of Ferrothorn has a very good opportunity to come in and threaten this Zapdos.
Clefable!
There we go. Zapdos using Discharge, potentially trying to get a paralysis through. As Clefable uses Moonblast and deals a significant amount of damage to this Zapdos, I could be fairly confident in saying that Zapdos has the potential here to lose this 1v1 despite dealing a little more damage. Of course, that's still what still remains to be said is whether or not this Clefable is running Soft Boil, but I'm almost certain that it is.
Clefable!
Clefable going for the Soft Boil to recover as Zapdos goes for Roost here. That's actually interesting. Uh, what could this Zapdos potentially be running? This is the first time we've seen both Discharge and Hidden Power Ice and Roost in the same set. Normally, those are completely different options.
Clefable!
And so,
Clefable!
we are left with a tough decision on Potter's part. Both of them can recover their HP. In comes Gliscor once again as Aegis Slash comes in. This is interesting, as Aegislash now has a very solid opportunity to set up substitutes here. As while Earthquake will be dealing super effective damage, Gliscor will eventually run out of those. Of course, the question still remains, though, what set is this Gliscor running? As far as we know, I've only seen maybe Stealth Rock, but potentially something else. I'd have to go back a significant amount. Actually, I don't think we've seen anything on this. So for all we know, it could be an offensive set.
Gliscor!
Aegis.
And so we are left. There we go. Swapping to Clefable once again. This is interesting. It looks like we might get confirmation out of this is an offensive set. Is Potter perhaps running hyper offense? Poison Heal heals the Gliscor, but the question still remains, though, is this Unaware or Magic Guard?
Gliscor! Clefable! Gliscor!
And
Clefable!
this is an interesting dilemma at hand. Potter certainly could swap to something else, potentially the Carpana here.
Gliscor!
However, I do think Clefable can run Mystical Fire. In comes the Landorus once again. Gliscor going for another Swords Dance. I believe this is at +3 right now.
Gliscor!
Landorus going for Hidden Power. A significant amount of damage potentially being dealt on either side. However, it looks like Facade will be dealing even more. It's actually kind of impressive how tanky this Landorus is, taking a +3 from Gliscor. However, I do suspect that it's not fully invested into attack, as Hidden Power Ice, despite being quad effective, is pretty significant here. And so we are left with a tough decision here for Azog, as this with a +3 right now. I don't think there's anything that Gliscor doesn't threaten. Spare maybe the Aegislash, but even then we have Earthquake.
Gliscor!
There we go. Gliscor going for Roost once again to heal. I believe at this point, there we go. Hidden Power Ice comes out once again as Facade finally takes out the Landorus. And there goes a very solid Pokemon in attempting to handle this Gliscor here. I would imagine with the combination. Ooh, and I immediately changed my mind as Darkrai comes out. This Gliscor is no longer a safe pivot, is at least with Darkrai on the field here, as Ice Beam will very much KO from this range. It likely would be able to KO from full.
Gliscor!
And this is going to be a tough choice, as I don't think there's anything right now that would be able to take a hit from Darkrai very well.
Gliscor!
So we're left at a very tough choice. There we go. The Sandstorm is being brought up, as it looks like Tyranitar is coming in as a potential answer. Question remains, though, we're not certain if this is Scarf just yet, although that very much could be the case. And if that is the case, this Darkrai could very well be opening up either a Dragon Dance sweep or something potentially even worse. It comes a Loma Mola, though, as Stone Edge misses. That is incredibly unfortunate from i-Pixelmon here. Apologies for that slight delay. I think my Discord crashed a little. We'll get back into the swing of things here. And so we remain at this decision here with the Alomomola paralyzed. We'll have to see for ourselves what Azok goes for. And in comes the Darkrai once again. The question remains, though, how much damage will this next attack be doing? And more importantly, will Darkrai be able to read something potentially like potentially going for Focus Blast here? And it looks like we are left with this is going to be interesting, as this is very much a reading game here. If it goes for Ice Beam, then Tyranitar comes out and threatens Darkrai out once again. However, if Focus Blast comes out, Zapdos is fairly safe to roost off the damage here. And I would wager Tyranitar would be immediately KO'd unless Focus Blast misses. Of course, while Dark Pulse is solid, I think it deals even less damage to the Tyranitar. And so you're left. There we go. Going for Ferrothorn here as Dark Pulse comes out and critical hits the Ferrothorn. This Ferrothorn is very much threatened at this point. Although I believe if I potentially have my math right, that did a little over potentially 70%. And if that's the case, I don't think this Ferrothorn can take another Dark Pulse. I'll say now that if it is, I'll be very impressed. There we go. Bringing Tyranitar once again, going for Dark Pulse. We get confirmation now that this is choice locked. The sandstorm has ended, meaning the special defense increase has been negated. The sands. Now, this is also something interesting to keep in mind. With the sandstorm gone, Darkrai is no longer taking chip damage from sand. And so this is, once again, a very tough choice to make here. Alomomola is very safe against Stone Edge. However, we'll have to see how much damage Stone Edge does in the first place. I would imagine that with the correct there we go. In comes Alomomola as Iron Valiant comes in. A very interesting decision with double switch here. I don't think I see any signs of booster energy though. Is this potentially Choice Scarf or something else? This is going to be a tough decision to make here, as Iron Valiant is known as one of the most versatile offensive attackers out there. We don't know if this is Sword Stance, Calm. I believe one of the things this is commonly known for is known as Schrodinger's Valiant, where this could be running anything from Encore to Swords Dance to even just a straight up Choice Scarf Sweeper. There we go. Illumo Mullet going for protecting, trying to scout out what it will use. As Valiant goes for Thunderbolt here, this is very much a special attacking set. We know that now for certain. The question remains, though, is this choice locked into Thunderbolt, or is this just a bait? Out comes the Aegis Slash, taking very negligible damage here from Thunderbolt. This is going to be a tough decision to make for Pater, as at the current moment, even if this isn't running the standard offensive set, Shadow Ball has a very reasonable chance to be threatening a KO here. There we go. Out comes the Kartana here, as Shadow Ball is enough to just outright KO a very wise play here, even if it was potentially on accident, as that is a major Clefable counter removed. This is gonna be a tough choice to make here. What does Cool Pater do here to try and stop the loss? Cartana, at least in this Aegis Slash, at least in this state, has notably lower special defense and physical defense. However, at any moment, King Shield will just completely negate everything Pater wants to go for. And it looks like Gliscor will be coming back out to play. Gliscor hurt a little bit thanks to Stealth Rock. This is interesting. Aegislash comes out as Darkrai goes for the roost here. The question remains the same though. I'm almost certain that this Darkrai is running Ice Beam. The question is whether or not they make the choice to stay in. And if they do choose to stay in, um, what are they gonna attempt to do here? I do believe unless they're running Focus Blast, unless they choose Focus Blast, that is, this Darkrai is not safe. Or sorry, this Gliscor is not safe.
Gliscor! High score.
And so we are
High
once again left with a tough choice to make here. Valiant comes in as Darkrai goes for Dark Pulse here, doing frankly impressive damage, despite I believe that being a quad resist. I would wager now at this point. I'm almost certain if he's bringing that in, that chances are this is either a Specs or Scarf. More likely to be the Scarf case in this situation. However, we saw earlier that I believe we saw a Lomomola come out, and we know this Valiant has Thunderbolt. Question remains: what does Azok choose to pivot into in this situation? As I'm not certain if Thunderbolt is safe. In comes the Aegislash. A Shadow Ball comes out, dealing a significant amount of damage here. It could even potentially, unless I'm wrong, be enough to KO. Although it's very much a roll at this point.
Aegislash.
And I do believe this is very much potentially in Azok's court here. If Shadow Ball comes out, I don't imagine there is much that is going to threaten this Valiant. However, something to keep in mind is that if Shadow Ball isn't enough, this Iron Valiant is gone. There is a very reasonable chance also that there's a pivot here. Although, is that a risk that Azok might want to take to potentially lose the opportunity to remove this Aegislash? There we go. King Shield coming out to protect itself as Iron Valiant goes for Shadow Ball again. And I would definitely say this Aegislash very much can no longer go for the one hit KO, at least from this range. I no longer think this is a good opportunity, and there may not be another opportunity looking at Valiant's health right now.
Aegislash.
There we go. Out comes the Gliscor once again as Mega Lopunny comes out, actually. This is interesting, as I do believe if this Lopunny is running triple axle, this Gliscor is very much not safe. I'm very concerned by what I'm seeing in the chat right now, but I digress.
High score. High score.
And this is a tough choice to make here. What is
High score.
does this Lopunny potentially have does it have triple axle at this point? Because if it does, this Gliscor is not safe. However, something to keep in mind is that if this Lopunny is potentially running U-turn instead, I would wager this is a good opportunity potentially for Gliscor to either threaten major damage with Earthquake or go for setup. Out comes the Tyranitar here as Lopunny goes for Fake Out, and I don't think the Sandstorm is properly procced here. Although I could very well be wrong. Yes, it doesn't quite look like Sandstorm proc. However, I'm not certain how much of a difference it'll make at this point, as Azog very much has the advantage here. Lopunny going for close combat, enough to immediately threaten a KO, and it looks like it does. This is looking tough for Potter right now. Something to keep in mind, though, is that even if Iron Valiant comes in, it's certainly hard to tell whether or not it'll be safe. In comes this Zapdos, taking a lot more damage from Stealth Rock here. However, I would imagine a return or frustration would be enough to KO here. There we go. Frustration comes out, and once again removing. However, Lopunny has been paralyzed thanks to Static. That might potentially be what the Zapdos was trying to go for here. This Lopunny is now significantly less threatening. This is a tough choice for Potter to make here, as I believe Azog is looking incredibly well right now. We'll have to see what Potter goes for here, as he desperately attempts to find a way to bring this back. Keep in mind, I don't think there's much left aside from the Iron Valiant, and I'm not certain if Valiant will be able to bring this back, especially if it's choice locked, as I do believe there's still a Lomo Mola in the back. We do have Gliscor, which, although is very helpful in this situation, could very well be threatened by Triple Axle if it's being ran here.
Gliscor!
And so we are left with a tough choice to make, everyone. What does this Gliscor go for? As I don't think Earthquake will be enough to KO at this range, unless it goes for a Sword Stance. But even then, you are inviting some very threatening Pokemon in.
Gliscor!
There we go. In comes the Darkrai, as Gliscor goes for Earthquake here, dealing a significant amount of damage. This Darkrai doesn't make the right call here. I do think that is a significant Pokemon on Azog's team being removed. However, I do suspect that even Dark Pulse would be significantly threatening. Darkrai going for Trick here, as Darkrai goes for Specs actually instead. That could potentially be a very good sign. In comes a Lomomola, and this is a tough choice to make, as now it is currently locked into something it very much does not want. However, I don't know how much longer it wants to be in. And I do think it can no longer roost either. There we go. Out comes the Glasscore. In comes Ferrothorn here as Flip Turn comes out, dealing a little bit of damage here thanks to Iron Barbs. However, I don't think there's much time left for this Ferrothorn. In comes the Lopunny once again, very much threatening the I would wager yes, it very much threatens the Ferrothorn here. The question remains, what does this Lopunny want to go for? As the wrong move could very well be the difference here between success and failure. This is going to be a this is going to be an interesting decision. There we go. In comes the Gliscor once again, being hurt by Stealth Rock. Close combat, dealing a significant amount of dealing a very poor defensive blow, at least. This Lopunny can no longer, I would wager, no longer can safely switch in.
Gliscor.
This is going to be a tough decision to make here, as with Darkrai gone, Gliscor going for the Earthquake, not dealing, frankly, significant enough damage. However, I would imagine with the Earth, I would imagine even though Earthquake doesn't deal much, this Alomomola could very well be incredibly unfortunate. We'll have to see what Azog chooses to go for here. In comes Iron Valiant as Flip Turn comes back out. Do keep in mind that the stream might be a little scuffed right now. Never mind, stream actually looks very good. In comes the Aegis Slash once again. I do think Shadow Ball has a very reasonable chance to KO here, depending on what is the play made by Potter. If this Iron Valiant is defeated, I don't think Gliscor will be enough. And it looks like Potter, this could be over for Potter potentially, unless a very lucky crit is in play right now. In comes the Gliscor as Shadow Ball comes out, dealing certainly not nearly enough damage. However, I do think Gliscor here is inviting the opportunity for Alomomola to once again be released. I would imagine with Alomomola defeated, things could very much be different. However, with Alomomola being alive still, I don't think Potter has a chance to win this unless some very lucky circumstances happen. However, we'll have to see whether or not this actually holds true.
Gliscor.
And it looks like
Gliscor. Gliscor.
it appears we are left with a very interesting play. King Shield comes out as Earthquake is able to protect the Aegislash for a little while longer. However, I do think
Gliscor.
out comes the Alomomola once again. Earthquake dealing definitely not anywhere near enough. And I do think it is very safe to wish here.
Gliscor.
There we go. In comes Fairthorn once again, doing a little bit of extra chip damage, although it's uncertain how much that will matter in the long run. As in comes the Aegislash once again.
Aegislash.
It appears this could be a very tough decision to make here, as there's a very reasonable chance. How much damage potentially could we be seeing from Shadow Ball here? Shadow Ball is not quite enough to KO. Ferrothorn missing the Leech Seed. That could have significantly potentially improved survivability here. And in comes Gliscor, special defense decreasing here. And this Aegislash is no longer safe to come in against the Earthquake. King Shield is coming out to protect from Earthquake, as well as potentially letting it survive the next one.
Gliscor.
However, I imagine Ferrothorn comes out. Shadow Ball is enough to KO the Ferrothorn here. Of course, I do imagine, I would potentially imagine a Gliscor returning out here. However, we do know, actually choosing to bring an Iron Valiant instead. This could be something very interesting. In comes King Shield once again as Valiant goes for something. Shadow Ball protects it. Shadow Ball comes out yet again, still not quite enough to KO as Iron Valiant falls. I think the only Pokemon remaining is the Gliscor. In comes Earthquake to protect it a little more, very much trying to ensure that this, very much doing their best to ensure this remains alive. However, I would imagine Earthquake does enough, not quite the KO. However, I don't think this Aegislash is exactly safe anymore unless a very specific situation happens. In comes Gliscor to Earthquake once again. The question still remains, though. Could Azog potentially be trying to stall out Earthquake power points?
Gliscor!
In comes Earthquake for dealing a little more damage. Moonblast getting a very successful critical hit here. I do think in the next few turns here, we could be seeing the end of the match as Gliscor goes for Earthquake yet again. Moonblast comes out once again. Poison Heal, not very being of too much help. I do think this new next Moonblast will be enough to KO. And that is game, set, and match. With 3 Pokemon remaining, Cool Powder will lose the round. And Azok will very much secure the win here for PixelmonFR. And it looks like we're moving on to the final battle of the match. I do think the last one remaining here potentially could be, if I'm looking at this correctly, I believe Sammy Boy and Cool Potter have been playing. I don't see the final trainer, although I could be wrong. Actually, it looks like Sammy Boy will be the last one, as I believe he will be facing Zenter, yes. And I do believe this is the final match of the day. This is going to be very interesting. We're seeing the teams heating up a little here in the chat. We'll have to see whether or not that actually holds water.
Hello.
It looks like we do have another commentator with us. Welcome back, Alba. Things are very much heating up here in this situation.
Yeah, I've been watching, setting a few things up behind the scenes, so that is all ready to go for later. But for now, I am here. I'm still half asleep. I apologize if my voice sounds like I am inside of a pool. I understand. But yes, I am here, and I do believe we do have more matches later in the day, I believe, unless I read that wrong. I mean, I've read the initial announcement wrong, so I might have read this wrong as well. No, we do have more yeah, we do we? Yes, we have more matches later, okay. Who the hell just gave me a piglin head? I'm not going to question it. I tabbed out, I didn't have a piglin head. I tabbed back in, I did have a piglin head. Either way, I didn't see much of that past match, unfortunately, as I was a bit busy. And I didn't see any of the first match as I was asleep. But I heard that we have had some good matches so far. Is that right?
I would definitely say that is the case, at least for the current moment. Things are getting very interesting as at the current moment, I do believe it is 2-0 in favor of PixelmonFR. And it looks like we get the lead right now as we see Tapu Lele and Chansey on the field. This is actually a bit interesting as usually Blissey is the special wall of choice. However, something to keep in mind is that Tapu Lele does very much have access to Psyshock here, very much targeting its weaker physical side.
Among Us.
This is interesting. Choosing to actually set up Stealth Rock instead, a very wise choice. The question still remains, though, what is going to happen next? Chansey is walking away from the field, making it a little bit difficult to see the proper battle here. All right, and this is an interesting dilemma. Spore very well could lead to sleep, but however, Chansey does very much have access to Natural Cure. We're not. It's hard to say. Amoonguss going for the Toxic here, very unfortunate. However, I would imagine Amoonguss is significantly tanky enough to survive a hit from Mawile and put it to sleep with Spore. There we go. Mega Maul comes out, being a little bit hurt thanks to Rocky Helmet. As Amoonguss, does it go for the Spore here? Or does it try to read potentially a switch? Amoonguss goes for the Spore and puts the Mawile to sleep. This is a very tough question, everyone. What is going to happen? Magnezone comes out potentially to try and trap it in. Question still remains, how much damage is HP Fire or even just a regular electric move going to do here? There we go. Hidden Power is enough to knock out the Mawile here. Very unfortunate that it took 3 turns of sleep. And in comes the Gliscor to threaten out Magnezone with Earthquake here. However, we're still not entirely certain what is going to happen next. There we go. In comes the Pelipper once again as Gliscor goes for U-turn here. Drizzle has been set up. We're very much potentially looking at a rain team here. That certainly might be the case given the Pokemon we have seen thus far. And this is going to be tough as rain has been established, and we very well could be seeing a very strong Pokemon coming out. The question still remains, though, with the rain being established, what is going to be brought out in order to attempt to counter this? What could be brought out to even try to counter the Pelipper here? As so far, the only Pokemon we've seen are Chansey and Gliscor and Mega Mawile. All very bulky Pokemon to keep in mind, sure. However, in comes the Slowbro. We're very much looking at either a bulky offense or a stall team here. This is interesting, as we usually in most kind of situations, the main Slowpoke line responsible would be Galarian Slowking. It's the first time we've actually seen Slowbro on here, except for maybe once before. Granted, I don't think that Slowbro really did have much help here. There we go. Pelipper going for Defog and clearing entry hazards as Slowbro goes for Future Sight. Whatever's coming in is not going to like any kind of damage, especially on a rain team, as chances are things might not be turning out as well as one would hope. We'll have to see whether or not this rain could potentially break through stall. And it looks like Pelipper goes for the U-turn here, taking a good amount of chip from Rocky Helmet, as the next Pokemon is likely going to take either a Scald or allow it to freely swap in with Teleport. There we go. Urshifu comes out, and in comes the Slowbro once again. I'm not certain if there is a good amount of options that'll be able to handle it. In comes Superior, though. However, we'll have to see how much damage this Urshifu will be able to deal in rain. Even then, close combat is very much still a valid choice. This is a tough decision to make here, as Urshifu does have the advantage here and with the access to moves like U-turn, I would imagine this would immediately put Superior on the back foot here. The question does still remain, though. How much damage could Urshifu deal here with a U-turn? There we go. In comes Magnezone once again, as it looks like it is a double switch here. The question still remains, though. We do know that Magnezone likely is threatened out by Gliscor. But how will the response be to that kind of event happening? As I do believe we know now it is HP Fire and not HP Ice. There we go. Gliscor comes out, not affected by the thunder here, as Gliscor is able to poison itself with Toxic Orb.
Sorry about that, folks. I'm back.
Welcome back. And things are looking interesting. In comes Tapu Lele as Gliscor goes for the U-turn yet again.
Have there been any significant losses either side so far?
I would wager that very much could be the case here, as we saw earlier. Magnezone was able to trap and KO a Mega Mawile on the opposing team. I do believe this is correct. Rather, it is Zenter's Mega Mawile that has been removed. Of course, we do still wait for Sammy's response. In comes the Urshifu here. It is a double Urshifu scenario.
Very interesting. Oh, I was gonna say because it's a Tapu Lele in my side. Is it Urshifu versus Urshifu? It's Tapu Lele in my side.
I do suspect though that
I'm very interested in the intention of bringing out this Urshifu against the Tapu Lele. Is this
potentially,
Tapu Lele
I would
smart?
suspect it would be as some form of bait to try and get it into not using Sight Shock. However, I would imagine if this Tapu Lele is potentially running Trick, how ruinous that could be. However, minuscule of a chance that is, I don't think it actually does get access to Trick.
Keep in mind, it's not too uncommon to see scarfed Urshifus as well. Although I'm not entirely
There we
sure
go.
what it
Surging
would be
Strike's
able to do
coming
with
out
it.
and
Does
cleanly
decide
to it
stay
KOing.
in. Okay.
I'm actually kind of impressed. I'm actually a little impressed that I managed to outspeed, although I very much have my speed tiers wrong here.
It very well could be scarfed. And it's also the chance that the Lele wasn't scarfed either.
The question remains, though, with Tapu Lele gone, what is remaining to threaten this Urshifu Rapid Strike? Out comes Pelipper once again. However, I would imagine with the rain up, this is very much a high chance to KO, probably, even with the max defense.
Very risky bringing out the rain when you're knowing that Urshifu is currently on field.
There we go. The rain has successfully stopped. And Pelipper comes into and Pelipper is swapped out from Moongus here. This is a interesting dilemma, as I do think whatever toxic kind of tank may have already been removed, meaning the only option now, of course, would be the Chansey, if that is something that they want to risk. Chansey falling asleep due to Spore, though.
I'll have to see what value is gotten from this sleep. Are they going to bring in something that could break it? Or are they going to, I don't know, maybe try and put down some utility while they have the free turns to do so?
In comes the Gliscor once again as Pelipper comes back out to threaten Gliscor. This is looking to be a very interesting game right now, as Pelipper can remove the rocks via defog. However, is that what Gliscor wants to predict here?
Caliper.
It looks like
Does
Chansey
switch
comes out once
bringing
again
Chansey
as
back in.
Pelipper goes for a U-turn.
Of course, Chansey is no longer asleep due to its ability cleansing status effects. The Pelipper
And in
does
comes
swap out
Urshifu
back
Rapid
into
Strike
the
as the
Urshifu.
response. I could be wrong, but what is remaining that could actually reasonably check it? There could be a few options potentially.
Check the Urshifu.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Chansey definitely doesn't. That Chansey will likely be forced out this turn. Sammy Boy has unfortunately lost his Pelipper.
Uh-oh.
As that bug does seem to be back. It did happen the other day again.
This could be interesting as, depending on the situation, it is potentially possible that what we're looking at is not a case of what we could be fearing. There is a very reasonable chance that depending on how they have it set up, we could be looking at someone who hasn't exactly fully updated. Although whether or not that's actually true, we'll have to see.
I don't think you can actually access the server if you're not updated, but I could be wrong. We'll have to see how the match goes. As I believe it is currently in Sammy Boy's favor. It would be very unfortunate if we do have to restart.
In comes a Slowbro as Urshifu comes out and immediately he turns back. This is the option necessary to allow or for the Braveheart. That is potentially what could be used to bring it back. However, in comes the Swampert though.
In.
And so we are left with a very tough decision to make here. Do you potentially?
Can this Swampert actually break through the Slowbro? I've no doubt it will do a lot of damage, but can it do 71.8% in a turn?
I would imagine that's very unlikely unless it gets a very fortunate crit.
You can join the server without the fix. That very way. Wow, words are hard. Very may well be the issue then. Remember, a lot of the time is that both of the battlers have to agree to a restart. At least if it doesn't seem like one is absolutely necessary. And I'm not sure if Sammy Boy would agree to a restart, as right now he is on the upper foot.
Another thing to keep in mind is that with the Pelipper potentially gone here, Stealth Rocks will be permanent. Although, once again, yes, as you said, very much the advantage is going toward. Oh, that's dangerous. Slowbro going for Future Sight here.
Slowly chipping this Slowbro down more and more, but this Urshifu cannot stay in for much longer. We'll have to be very careful.
Ooh, a good amount of damage dealt through the Urshifu here. Or, sorry, the Slowbro. The question still remains, though, what does the Slowbro go for? Potentially going for a teleport out.
Keep in mind that this Urshifu cannot stay in this coming turn or it will likely die to a future sight.
Going for the
for
slack
slack.
off. Urshifu going for U-turn to try and last a little longer. The question still remains, though, is there anything left that would be able to so there we go. Magnezone comes out as Scald deals major damage to Magnezone here. I do think the next Future Sight here will probably KO. There we go. Future Sight still not quite enough. However, I don't think this Magnezone can safely come in anymore.
Certainly not with that health value, not at all.
Let's see.
But they do
Choosing
decide to
to
take the
bring this
Magnezone
back
out.
as out comes
Interesting.
Gliscor. This is not looking good here for this might be one of the few times this might be a 3-0 against i-Pixelmon here. Things are not looking good. Gliscor comes out dealing significant damage as Amoonguss goes for the Giga Drain, trying to hold on for as long as possible.
That poison heal is quite devastating right now.
Among Us.
There we go. And so we are left at a very difficult decision.
Among Us.
Question remains, though, does Sammy have anything that could be able to handle this? Here comes Giga Drain to recover a little more HP.
Among Us.
The problem is that the Pokemon that can break through PixelmonFR's current team cannot break through that Slowbro.
Choosing instead to
Magnezone
stack the
will come in
Magnezone. A
and
very wise
die.
choice here.
Die to the Stealth Rock, as the Gliscor actually attempted to U-turn that turn. Keep in mind with that, Amoonguss switching out, it will get some health back with Regenerator. So the Urshifu does come in, threatening this Gliscor. And I believe the Chansey is still alive, threatening that as well, but does not.
I will.
threaten the
Something I
Slowbro.
do suspect potentially is that with the bug, I think it's very confident actually choosing to Ice Punch instead. A very bold play here.
I think the Slowbro was quite an obvious choice to come out. I don't think I don't think they would just willingly, for no reason, sacrifice the Gliscor there. Granted, I don't know if this Urshifu really has anything that can hurt this Slowbro much more than that. Maybe hoping to go for a lucky ice freeze proc here or there.
Urshifu
Will
going for
U-turn.
U-turn, taking a little bit more damage thanks to U-turn. And in comes the Swampert once again, very much allowing for Future Sight to come out. This Urshifu is not safe to pivot in. The question remains, though, what does possibly this rain team have anything that can handle Slowbro?
I'll have to see. This one part is probably the thing that's the best chance, as I think everything the Urshifu can hit the Swampert with, the Slowbro resists, but this Swampert can hit it neutrally.
In comes Earthquake, still not quite enough to KO. As Slowbro goes for Slack Off, proving its immortality here now.
Swampert will take a Future Sight here, but that Swampert can potentially threaten the Slowbro by just repeatedly pressing Earthquake. But no, the Amoonguss comes in instead. It's going to take that Future Sight, and it's going to hurt.
Slack Off recovering back to full. This Slowbro is proving to be immortal.
Of course, this Amoonguss can potentially threaten out this Slowbro, but it doesn't matter as it does die to the Future Sight as the Urshifu comes back in. Unfortunately, I think with that, unless they're able to just break through this Slowbro with that Swampert, I know
I imagine chances are it's incredibly unlikely here, as I think the next Stealth Rock has a very reasonable amount of probability to KO it here. In comes the Swampert once again as Slowbro goes for Future Sight. This could be game, set, and match potentially. Earthquake comes out, but keep in mind, Slowbro has plenty of slack offs left. Once again, healing all the way back up to full.
Slowbro was allowed to get another Future Sight off that will be coming in this coming turn.
And it looks like Swampert's still going for Earthquake. A Scald comes out.
Burn.
And
I
the
think
burn.
that's it. I think that's it.
As Future Sight comes out and very much takes out the Swampert here.
Urshifu's still alive, but I don't think it's gonna matter.
I think this is game, set, and match. Slowbro proving to be the MVP of the match for just tanking everything here. U-turn comes out, and the Urshifu has fainted. As Slowbro goes for Slack Off yet again. What is the final Pokemon remaining on the team? Or at least one of the final Pokemon.
Whatever it is, it obviously... Oh, that's end of battle. Right, because they cannot select the Pelipper.
It looks like... Right, there we go. I think the only Pokemon remaining potentially was the Pelipper here. And Zenter very handily defeating i-Pixelmon here with 5 Pokemon remaining. And it
Very
looks like
important
that
losing
is
that
game,
pillar.
set, and match, everyone. i-Pixelmon very handily defeated here. And it looks like i-Pixelmon is very much in the danger zone right now. We'll have to see whether or not that holds water here. Of course, I've been your commentator as always, Delta. With me, as always, has been Alba. And we'll potentially see you guys in the next round, where we'll watch the next set of battles occur, and potentially one of these battlers.
25 minutes from now, so be sure to come around.
We'll see you all then. Signing out.
Can this be closed?